Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, November 13th, 2025 at 7 p.m. and this is a meeting of the Bolton Select Board. We have a very specific agenda this evening. We're doing the Police Chief Search Committee discussion. So first we're going to interview applicant finalists, and then we're going to make appointments to the committee. As a reminder, we are looking for 2, maybe a maximum of 3 citizens from Bolton to serve on the committee along with some other members. And before we get started, I just want to say a little bit about the process. So we were very grateful to have a number of excellent folks step forward to volunteer, and we went through an initial process of just trying to identify 5 or so finalists. And then tonight we're going to spend about 10 minutes with each person. And then after that, we'll make our selections. So with that, could you just introduce yourself briefly and in your own words describe what you believe the search committee's role should be?
Sure. Matt Bosselay, 88 Laurel Road, like we're at town meeting. Lived in town 33 years, proud to call Bolton home, born and raised. I work in the field of public safety. I work for the town as a call firefighter, call fire lieutenant. Full-time, I'm the Executive Director for Emergency Management and Institutional Safety for Worcester State University. In that role there, I oversee emergency management in all aspects, environmental health and safety, and our university police department. A little bit bigger in overall manpower than Bolton, 20-something at full capacity, including officers and dispatchers. We run in-house dispatch at Worcester State. We've not gotten to regionalize that yet. And the question was, the owners would briefly describe what you believe the process of the search committee is?
What do you base, just in brief, what do you think the search committee's role should be?
I think that their role is going to be to try to determine the best fit for the town of Bolton, help work with the select board, the town administrator, and really develop what we want, our goals, and where we want to bring our police department. The chief being the head executive for that agency is really going to set the tone, set the mission, and you get the police department we want. So if we want to see certain things in our community policing, aggressive traffic enforcement, crime prevention, different sort of activities, programs, it's going to be that chief executive and their skills, knowledge, and experience coming to bear in our community.
Thanks.
Matt, can you describe a time when you've had to handle sensitive information or confidential information and maintain confidentiality?
Absolutely. I hold a federal secret level clearance, so I had to go through the whole process so I know the process of there are certain things that I can't even tell my wife. Just about like, oh, what did you do at work today? I had a good day at work, or I had a bad day at work. Those days make the news. I also, in my role at Worcester State, I have to handle all, we'll call it HR personnel issues. So any kind of hiring, firing complaints, things that come forward. So there's numerous things there that you can't discuss outside of those who need to know. So you just kind of get used to saying I can't talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. Each search committee member will bring a different perspective to this process. What unique strengths and experiences do you believe you would bring to the search committee?
I've been in the unique situation of having to interview police chiefs before in my full-time role. I bring over a decade and a half of public safety, not just in the town of Bolton, but in a small community where I went to college, where we had a municipal police department as well as county law enforcement. Lived in town 33 years, which isn't a long time compared to, I'm hoping, some of the people who raised their hand for this committee, but one of the benefits I have is that my wife and I built our own house in town. We intend on staying here for the long haul. I love this place. I want us to raise a family here, so I have a lot of skin in the game in the sense of this decision is going to affect me for a long time.
Thank you.
Do you or any family members have any current or past connections, professional relationships, personal relationships with police department staff or town officials that might influence or appear to influence your objectivity?
I would say that most of my family know most of the Bolton Police Department, just from the number of years we've lived in town on a, personal level.
Yeah.
And then I, for the past 6 months, working in Worcester State, oversee a campus law enforcement community. What that, to answer the second part of your question, though, I can't speak on behalf of what the appearances are there, just as a longtime resident.
Thank you.
The committee will meet several times, possibly during weekdays and evenings, and will later participate in interviews that may last several hours. Are you able to commit to this level of involvement, particularly as a lot of it may happen in December?
So weekdays are a challenge for me because I work full-time in Worcester. If it's something that's happening remote, it's easier for me. If it's in person in town, I need to know with enough time to try to work around that. Evenings and weekends tend to be better. Afternoons I can make work with enough time.
Well, first of all, thank you. This has been great to sort of hear a little bit more about your interest. Is there anything else you'd like us to know about your background or your approach or your perspectives that would help us understand how you would approach service on this committee?
I don't know how the select board wants to post the position, but I think that the job description is going to be key to this search process. And I would say that whether or not I move forward is, again, I want to help my community. I want to help the town as best I can. I hope that this is a great process no matter who sits on the panel. I would encourage the select board and the town administrator that job description is really going to help shape what we're looking for and what that future vision is going to be, and that the committee or the select board or the TA, whoever's going to be publishing that document, is really, that's going to be the guiding force as to when people start to sit down and interview these candidates to say, do you or don't you have this experience? How can you talk to me about these programs you want to develop? You're going to find a lot of people who have your basic, really good level of policing. But where do we want to go with that? I think that job description is going to be key, and I think that that's something that I would be very keenly interested in looking at to help develop as we go forward and put some effort into that so we can make sure that we do a good job trying to solicit the right person to put in.
Since we have another couple of minutes before the next person, I do have a follow-up, and I might ask it of everybody else if we have time, which is just that, I can imagine that on this search committee, there may come times where there's disagreement, potentially. So could you just say a little bit about how you navigate circumstances where there's some disagreement?
Yeah, I mean, at the bare minimum, try to understand where the other person's at least coming from and understand that, I can see why you would think that this is my opinion. And with a committee process, I think that as long as everyone there is on the understanding that we are going to have disagreements and it's somewhat we have to come to a consensus here, right? And there's going to be two different ways of looking at a problem, and I'm going to vocalize why I feel that, hey, I think that this is a more important characteristic than that, or whatever it might be. And
Yeah.
you know what, I might be the only one there, and it is what it is, and I'm glad that I could at least express my opinion.
Okay, great. Well, we're gonna try to stick to the same set of questions for everybody.
Yeah,
So
it's fine.
I think we're done for now. So if there's anything else you want to add, feel free, but otherwise you can stick around and listen in, and I think we have 4 more folks coming in over the next hour. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to hang out, I'm happy to come back, but I don't know how you want to.
Yeah, totally up to you, Matt. Thank you so much, though. This is great.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Awesome, really appreciate it.
I said it's been a rough week. I was not kidding. Today's the first day I've been upright.
Hello. You can
I'm
right
Susan
on
Carrier.
and, take a seat. Please. Thanks so much for coming in, for expressing interest. I'm Brian Boyle, I'm on the select board along with Kate and Bill. The way that this process is being run tonight is we're basically spending about 10 minutes with each person. We had a good number of people who expressed interest, and we've narrowed it down to 5 finalists that we wanted to meet in person.
Great.
So thank you. I'll just get started with, just for the benefit of people that might be tuning in, if you could say your name again, and then just briefly describe in your own words what you believe the search committee's role should be in this process.
Okay, my name is Susan Carrier, and I live in town. It kind of depends on what the town is looking for, it would seem. I don't know, is this a strong chief or a weak chief? What would you consider?
It's
It's a
the
weak
chief.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's been my experience too with where I worked. I just think it's important to have a leader that can reach out to the community, can be a leader to people below him or her. I think those are important elements.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Susan, can you briefly describe a time when you've had to handle sensitive information appropriately or a situation where you had to maintain confidentiality?
Well, it's pretty much my whole career. I took that position because I was very curious about how police and law work. My master's degree is in developmental psychology, so I was a therapist for most of my career. I took that as a retirement job, and I stayed 14 years. Getting back to your question, can you just ask it again?
Sure. Can you just describe a situation where you had to handle confidential
So
information?
that was pretty much all the time. I was kind of the second in line to the chief as far as managing paperwork and things coming and going in the station. Each of the 3 chiefs that I worked for had a different style. I think I mentioned that. So some were more taking me into their confidence than others, which is fine. The position was kind of open and created as I went. So in particular, there were a number of times, there's people that are kind of people who create issues in town, and so you kind of get to know that information, but you're not obviously supposed to share that.
Yeah.
And certainly anything that's medical because of HIPAA. I can't share, there's pretty much nothing you can share in that sense. I would sometimes go to town hall, and their goal was to get all of the admins together, and so we'd all sit together and everybody was supposed to tell what was going on where they worked. And I would be like, yeah, well, I can't really share any of that with you. So that was kind of how.
You have practice in maintaining confidentiality.
Plenty,
Yeah.
yeah.
Each search committee member will bring a different perspective to this process. What unique strengths or experiences do you believe you would bring to the search committee?
Well, I think kind of figuring out what kind of leadership you're looking for, if it's somebody who's a micromanager versus someone who's hands-off. I think that's important to look at. So my experiences were with 3 different chiefs and 3 different styles, 3 different personalities, and 3 different ways to run a police station. Looking at that, trying to get a feel, it would seem to me, from what the town is looking for is important.
Can I ask a quick follow-up on that?
Yeah.
So you mentioned having witnessed a few different styles. Did you reach any personal opinions about what style of leadership you would want to see in your own community?
Well, I think that part of it has to do with the people that work under you. If people can do their job and manage to do their thing without being micromanaged, then, in Carlisle, a lot of it was that was the expectation. This is your job, you do that, and we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's important.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
But, you know, there's different styles of management, so it's what you're looking for. And also, obviously, you would be working closely with a chief, so it would be kind of like, what are all of you looking for as well? But community-wise, I would love to see someone who's out in the community, who's visible, and does a lot of things that make people feel comfortable to live in the community and feel safe. And, you know, this is for lack of a better word, we live in a cut-through community where people are traveling through, so I would suspect that your crime is very different than other communities, especially someplace like Carlisle even. It was a sleepy little quiet town. So I think those are important things to look at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you or any family members have any current or past connections with police department staff or town officials that might influence or appear to influence your objectivity?
No.
The committee may meet several times, possibly during weekdays and also evenings, and will later participate in interviews that could last several hours. Are you able to commit to this level of involvement, particularly over the holiday season?
Yeah, that's fine. When do you anticipate starting the interviews or the meetings?
Do you want to take that?
Sure. Ideally, there would be an initial meeting near the end of November, with then posting happening in December, interviews happening in January.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm only asking because I somehow got on the list for the court in Worcester, and I'm on like a 2-month call list, which is something new and different.
Federal jury duty?
I have to call in on Friday nights, and I'm starting week 3, so I'm not quite sure what that commitment would be, but so far I haven't had to do anything, so just wanted to put that out there right away. I'm not sure what it means. And I've been told by police friends that I probably wouldn't be selected anyway because I would have a bias of having work in a police department, so. I've been told the prosecutor would probably like me, but the defendant's attorney would not.
Strike that one.
Yeah. So more than likely, I wouldn't survive with it anyway.
So I have the last question, and it's sort of a combined question.
Okay.
First, I was wondering if you could just say a little bit about how you've handled disagreement in a group setting, just in case that's something that comes up. And then if there's anything else that you want us to know about your background or your approach, this would be a great time for you to share that as well.
Okay. I think disagreements, I'm kind of someone who likes to listen to everyone's opinion or thought process about things, as opposed to jumping in. I tend to be kind of quiet and listen, and then give maybe a quiet opinion if that's necessary. And as far as anything else you'd like to know, I've lived in town, I think we've lived here 10 years now. I was in Harvard before that, and we downsized when the kids all grew. Recently retired and just looking for some ways to help in the community. This seemed like a really interesting thing to do.
And Susan, what size is Carlisle? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. What size
Size?
town is Carlisle?
I think there's like 6,000.
It's around, it's right,
I
like
think.
five or six, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Thank you.
small. You know, I think that's about it. I've led a good life, and I have a college degree, and have been fortunate to have a good family, and lived in communities where I feel safe and happy. This is one of them, so that's probably about it.
Thank you. Really appreciate you expressing your interest. And again, we'll finish up with the remaining applicants over the next 30 minutes or so, and then we'll be making appointments. If you want to stick around, or if you want to go home and watch, whatever, it's up to you.
Okay, I'm gonna head out. I haven't had dinner yet. I've been on the road.
All right, all right, well,
I
thanks
have a
again for
90-year-old
coming
mom
in.
that I help with, so.
Aw.
So then someone will email or call?
Yep,
Okay, great. Sounds good. Good luck.
Thank you.
thank you very much, Susan, good to meet you.
You too.
All right, right on time. Mr. Levin, please join us at the table.
That was a tough act to follow.
Thank you so much for joining. We're basically asking everybody the same set of questions, so you got to
Yes.
study ahead.
Yeah.
So could you just, again, introduce yourself with your name and then describe briefly what you think the search committee's role should be in your view?
So my name is Alan Levin III. As I mentioned, I believe the search committee needs to look at a number of different things and provide viable candidates for selection. I mentioned somebody who can come in and manage a team that already exists, somebody who can build a high-performance team, somebody who has a vision, somebody who can work with the four of you, and somebody who can, besides just having police skills, can actually manage a department, because you have, finance issues that you have to pay attention to as you manage everybody's departments.
Thank you.
Briefly describe a time when you've had to handle sensitive information appropriately, or a situation where you had to maintain confidentiality.
So, in my submission, I mentioned that I had a problem figuring out how to answer this question. I was a supervisor for a number of years, which means that I had to deal with performance evaluations, salaries, and whatever. So clearly I had to keep those confidential. Also, given my position, I was advisor to senior managers, and they had, for me to actually give them advice, they had to tell me things that were above my pay grade, and I had to figure out how to, answer the type of questions they posed to me without compromising things that they would rather not have told me. The third thing that I mentioned was the fact that I managed a classified project without actually having a DoD clearance. And I knew lots of data that, again, I had to know because I was doing things that were needed. And that clearly was something that I couldn't share with anybody.
Each search committee member will bring a different perspective to this process. What unique strengths or experiences do you believe you would bring to the search committee?
I've interviewed and hired lots of professionals. I've asked lots of different people questions. I've had to evaluate their answers. I've worked in a team interviewing approach where I've worked with the other people doing the interview process. I have made mistakes. I have made good hires. I understand what I did when I made a mistake. So I know, what I missed during those interviews.
Do you or any family members have any current or past connections with police department staff or town officials that could influence or appear to influence your objectivity?
Nope.
The committee may meet several times during weekdays or evenings and will later participate in interviews that could last several hours. are you able to commit to this level of involvement, including over the holiday season?
I'm likely to have the most time of anybody you see. I'm retired. I don't have any activities that I have to do other than babysit my youngest grandson once a week. So I can work around that. So yeah, I can be available all the time.
Thank you.
So my last question is a two-parter, which is one, could you say a little bit about how you've handled disagreement in a group setting? And then if there's anything else about your background or approach that you want us to know, this would be a good time to just bring that to the fore as well.
So I spent 35 years as a technical program manager, leading teams of professionals doing new product projects. Those teams hardly ever agreed on things. So part of my role was to get them talking to each other without going crazy, because most of them were engineers with poor control over their interactions. But for the most part, we were able to talk things through. I made sure that everybody talked about what was important to them and why. I made sure that people didn't talk over each other, because that's how engineers prefer to interact. They do a lot of proof by intimidation. So I needed to keep everybody calm. So I spent a lot of time trying to come to the right answer, which is a team-based answer. And even though we started out with differences of opinions.
Great, thank you.
Can I ask you guys questions?
Sure, we actually have, I think, 3 minutes until our next appointment, so yeah.
So, you don't have anybody from the police department on the search committee. Is there a reason for that?
So we didn't want to have anybody who could be potentially reporting to the new chief on the search committee, but I know Marie and I have talked about other ways of getting the police department's input into the search rather than having just one person serving on the committee.
Right. I think that's the only question I want to ask in this forum.
Yeah.
Perfect answer.
Okay. Like that, right?
Yeah.
Great, and no other questions?
No,
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, feel free to stick around or
sure.
take off, whatever makes sense.
Keep the line with good songs, should we choose to?
Very fancy. She had arts and crafts hour?
That's a little bit.
Oh, great. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, you can come sit right here. You're Marilyn, I
Yes, I
presume.
am.
I'm Brian.
And Kate?
Hello.
I'm Bill.
Murray.
Well, thanks so much for being here. You're actually perfectly on time because the way we're doing this is basically spending about 10 minutes with each of the finalists. We had a number of people who expressed interest, and we're very grateful for that. I'm very grateful that you're willing to step up and serve. So what we'll do is we're asking everybody the same set of questions just to make sure everybody has the same opportunity. And what I would like to start with is just, since this is being recorded and people may want to know who everyone is, can you just say your name again and maybe briefly introduce yourself and say a little bit about what you believe the search committee's role should be?
Oh, me? Okay. So my name is Marilyn G. Rivera. I live here in Bolton. I've been living here almost 3 years, if not 3 years already. And the role, I think, of the search committee is to help find a sheriff that will represent all the people who live in Bolton, making sure that everybody's rights are, are respected, and also making the town just welcoming to everyone.
Please briefly describe a time when you've had to handle sensitive information appropriately or a situation where you had to maintain confidentiality.
Oh, that's like every day of my life. So, right in this, currently in this phase of my life, I'm a nurse practitioner, I'm a primary care provider.
Mhm.
So every day I deal with people, I deal with people's information. Prior to moving here, I worked in an emergency room that was just outside of DC. So we would have, they're not VIPs, but we would have just dignitaries or notable persons come through, and so we would have to maintain a certain area to make sure that the person's privacy, is protected. And then of course, in the Army, all the same things, right? Certain information, the different levels of information, right? So some things are top secret. Some things they're not classified, but they're for official use only, and then some things are for everybody, but they're just not, easily accessible, but they're still there. So, multiple layers.
Thank you.
Each search committee member will bring a different perspective to the process. What unique strengths or experiences do you believe you would bring to the search committee?
So, I know I'm very white presenting, but I am a minority, and I think I know I'm a minority definitely in this town because there's not a lot of Hispanics in this town. So I think I'm going to bring that perspective, and then of course I'm a veteran, so I bring that side of the house as well. Everybody interacts with law differently, right? I've had different interactions with civilian police, with military police. Ideally, I would love all my interactions with law enforcement to have been the same way that they were in the military, where things are just there's a certain standard and everybody's supposed to meet it. So that is what I desire, and that's what I hope to find, or if you guys like me, hope to find in a police chief that follows that standard.
Thank you.
Do you or any of your family members have any current or past connections with police department staff or town officials that might influence or appear to influence your objectivity?
What do you mean?
Do you have any family members, or do you personally know anybody, town officials or police department staff?
No, not here, not in Massachusetts. I mean, in
Okay.
Virginia, working in the ER, you interact with a lot of police. Most of my police interactions are military police officers. My son, his father was a military police officer.
Okay, thank you.
The committee may meet several times during weekdays or evenings and will later participate in interviews that could last several hours. Are you able to commit to this level of involvement, including over the holidays?
I don't definitely mind over the holidays. Since I have a set schedule, I need, if you ask for something at the drop of a hat, I might not be able to do something. Just because if I'm at work, I have commitments to patients. But if I can plan for it, that's not a problem.
Thank you.
So my last question is kind of two parts. The first is if you could just share a little bit about your approach to handling disagreement in a group setting. Because there may be disagreement of perspectives on a search committee like this. And then the second thing is just if there's anything else about your background or your approach that you think we ought to know, then feel free to raise that as well, but you don't have to. It's just an open invitation.
I am super data oriented. So I like different perspectives, right? Because it's like that picture where everybody sees something kind of sort of in a different way. One person saw this, the other person, one person saw someone pushing somebody, the other person saw somebody trying to catch somebody, right?
Yeah.
So I like to understand what a person's perspective is. And so that's kind of like how I handle disagreements. What came before, during, and after. So that way I can give you like a good opinion of, you know, I can then explain how come I don't agree with you, like your before, during, and after.
Great, thank you. And is there anything else you want to add, or there's no need, but we just want to make sure you have time to say anything else that you'd like to, 'cause
I guess, when do you guys plan to come up, just because, you know, when do you guys think you'll be done, like, with an idea of who you guys are looking for?
Oh, yeah, so,
And then who are you looking for? Like, where are you looking? That's what I want to know.
oh, you mean for the chief
Yeah.
himself? So, well, let me first say, the process of the selecting the search committee will be completed tonight. So by the end of tonight, we'll appoint everybody to the search committee. And then the search process itself will get started later this month. There'll probably be an initial meeting to help finalize a job description. Job description probably get going out in December, and then interviews in January with the goal of having something in place in Q1 of 2026. Is that?
Well, where do you, so like, is there like a database of like available police chiefs, or is this like you put like an open announcement and then just people respond?
It would be the open announcement and posting venues. So the search committee would be reviewing and making a determination of where the position would be posted to.
Okay. And then do you guys have like a minimum criteria of what this person has to meet?
All in the job description, which is, as Brian had mentioned, would be one of the things the search committee would be reviewing and
Oh,
finalizing.
okay, okay,
Yeah, you all would be involved in helping to finalize that.
okay. Even the people who are not involved, do they still get to see the minimum criteria that you're looking for?
Well, the posting is public, yeah.
Everything is
So like, once the job description is posted, that would be available to the public to see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was all. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Marilyn, really appreciate it.
Good to meet you.
Nice to
Good
meet
to
you.
meet you. All right, Mr. Romer, you're here, you're ready?
It's been a long time since I was here, and it's been a phenomenal amount of time since I was in an in-person meeting.
Well, thanks so much for being here, and I've been explaining to everybody a little bit about tonight's process. So we've given roughly 10 minutes to each of the 5 finalists. We had a number of really great statements of interest. We couldn't talk to everybody, but thank you to everybody who submitted, and of course, thank you for your submission. So we'll all ask basically the same set of questions we've been asking everybody, and we think that'll take about 10 minutes. And since you're our last appointment of the evening, we will then deliberate and make our appointments to the selection committee.
Good.
Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so question number 1 is just to introduce yourself with your name, because this is being recorded, and then say a little bit about what you believe the search committee's role should be.
Okay, my name is Robert Romer, Bob. I believe that the role of a search committee should, first of all, as I believe you mentioned, the last potential candidate, putting together and working to review the job description. And then looking at the criteria and questions that need to be researched and asked of the potential candidates. And I have certainly opinions about that, and a lot of them, I think, are based on certainly what Luke did and at least a couple of chiefs prior to him.
Great, thank you.
Could you briefly describe a time when you've had to handle sensitive information appropriately, or a situation where you had to maintain confidentiality?
Almost continuously in my career.
That's a common answer tonight.
Yeah, I think, certainly I was the chief of the nuclear division of Stone and Webster. And when you're dealing with nuclear equipment, nuclear fuel, everything is confidential. And that's just, a way of life.
Each search committee member will bring a different perspective to this process. What unique strengths and experiences do you believe you would bring to the search committee?
Having run a lot of organizations, I think, first of all, within Bolton, my concern is about the relationship between the chief, the other town departments, and the community. I think that's as important as the whole overall law enforcement management process. I think that an approach to management, whether it's in law enforcement, about which frankly I know very little. You know, be very candid about that. Is first of all to be an extremely good manager without managing by regulation. Developing the respect of your direct reports, but the rest of the organization as well, not to mention other departments in the town and the townspeople as a whole. And then being very good about mentoring and succession management, developing people potentially for succession into not necessarily the chief's role, but other roles elsewhere within that organization.
Do you or any of your family members have any current or past connections with police department staff or town officials that might influence or appear to influence your activity?
No, categorically.
Okay, the committee may meet several times during weekdays or evenings and will later participate in interviews that could last several hours. Are you able to commit to this level of involvement, including over the holidays?
Yes, delightfully. I just retired as president of Historic Eastfield Foundation in New York, and
Oh.
yeah, I'm just have time, and I'm over the 2.5-hour commute.
Great. And then my last question is a two-parter, which is, first, if you could just say a little bit about how you handle disagreement in a group setting, and then beyond that, if there's anything else about your background or your personal approach to this role that you want us to know, just feel free to sort of open-ended to share.
Yeah, I think, you know, certainly disagreements is not initially taking a position or making a decision, but understanding the underlying reason for the disagreement on the part of both parties, and working toward either a resolution or ultimately necessarily a decision.
Great, I just want to finish taking my note. Any questions for us?
No, I don't, well, you know, obviously this is going to be, I would hope to be an expedited process. And I do understand that it will require a fair amount of time and diligence and follow-up and a lot of work outside of meetings. You know, as you three four well know, the fourth perhaps more than the rest. Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Great. Well, I think we're all set. Thank you so much. Really
Excellent.
appreciate that you stepped up to volunteer, and to everybody else. So I think now you can either stick around, or we're gonna deliberate a little bit, and then we have, beyond just the citizen volunteer appointments, we have the other official appointments as well to make to the committee. So,
do you have I assume you have a law enforcement consultant?
yes.
Okay, because that is an area in which I lack a great deal of expertise.
Yes, yes we do.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. If you don't mind, I will head out to catch up with other things.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you,
Thank you.
Bob. Did you have any suggestions, or did you want me to just?
I think whatever the board pleases, I think deliberating about the candidates, knowing that the committee, per the board's decision in October, would be comprised of the town administrator, non-voting, the fire chief, who is also the emergency management director, a representative of the Public Ways Safety Committee, who, and I believe you've seen Mary Chumo's application for appointment, and a select board member who at the last meeting, I believe this honor is fallen to Kate. So as you deliberate regarding the candidates you've seen, understand that there already is this composition of a committee and look for a good fit.
Sorry, I just wanted to, I forgot to print it out, but it's the town administrator non-voting, the fire chief, select board designee,
Correct.
public ways safety, and then the 2 to 3
2 to 3 public members.
public members. Okay. Well, could I just say a couple table setting comments, which is, I'll just say personally, I think any one of the 5 that we spoke to tonight, I would feel comfortable So I think it's a little bit of splitting hairs, at least for me. Like I didn't think that there were any red flags at all. I thought there were a lot of green flags. I think a lot of people that have a lot of good qualities to bring. And so then I think really, again, speaking only for myself, it just comes down to maybe some specific like perspectives that I think I might want in the mix, but I don't know if you have suggestions about how we ought to narrow it down.
Well, I think we first need to decide if it's gonna be 2 or 3.
Agreed.
Because that makes obviously a big difference, so. What is the total count if we were at?
Without
2, 3,
Marie,
4?
because she's not voting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be if there were 2, and if there were 3, it would be 6.
6. Okay.
Do you have feelings about 2 versus 3?
I think for scheduling reasons, especially going into the holiday season, I think 2 would be easier to get the scheduling done.
I think 2 would cover the bases of the perspectives that I think we're looking to cover.
Okay. That makes sense, so we'll go with 2, and then that also, not that I anticipate this, but with an odd number of voting members, it does allow
Yeah.
for there to be any like tie breaking. Okay. Does anybody wanna share their thoughts?
I will share my first thought. I would like to consider Bob Romer. I think his involvement in town in so many different capacities gives him great insight into the community as a whole. And I think that perspective is invaluable in terms of capturing the sort of person that Bolton would like to see as a police chief.
Okay.
I think you're right, Brian, that there are a lot of green flags. The one thing that I did note is Mrs. Carrier's involvement with the court. It sounds like there's nothing's going on currently, but that could change. So from a scheduling standpoint, that did give me a little pause.
Oh, as like a cautionary note?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I agree with everything you said about Bob. One thing that really struck me about Matt's perspective was when he talked about the family and the skin in the game and sort of like a very long view of the role of the chief, which I think is a really, when I think about the other members, potential members of the search committee, I think that is a perspective that might be well represented by somebody like Matt. But again, I think we had a lot of great folks. Was there anybody that jumped out for you?
I think both, is it Beausoleil? I'm sorry, Matt, Beausoleil. I think your experience is exceptional, and Mr. Levin, you obviously are putting in the time. You're on the select board meetings and showing up, so we appreciate your involvement as well. I think Mr. Beausoleil has a unique perspective given his work history and his time in town. I think he would be an excellent choice for a committee.
Did you have any thoughts about Bob Romer?
Bob knows this town as well as anybody.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for someone who knows the character of the town, I don't think there's anybody that could surpass his read on what the town needs. So I think he would be an excellent choice as well.
I have a question or maybe a thought, Marie, for something to bring, since I don't want to jump the gun, I think we'll probably designate Kate to be the select board member, because I think that was a discussion at the last meeting. But anyway, so if one idea is whether we will have some sort of an open house for finalists, like an opportunity for multiple people to meet, because what I'm thinking is for the folks who were here tonight that maybe, we didn't have room for, will there be an opportunity for them to be involved? So I just floating that
That's
out.
typically what happens once someone is advanced through the finalist round, their names are public, their interest is public,
Yeah.
and it can be great to see how they interact with other members of the department, as well as other departments in the public. So, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other additional perspective? So let me just say, summarizing, I think that we all feel comfortable with Bob Rummer.
Correct.
I mean, I feel comfortable with any one of them, so it's like splitting hairs here. But any other thoughts on anybody else that's been mentioned?
No, I'm also very comfortable with Matt.
Okay.
I like the long haul,
Yep.
perspective, so.
Okay. Well, are you good with that?
Yes.
And again, an embarrassment of riches with a bunch of really excellent people. But I think I would entertain a motion to appoint Bob Romer and Matt Bossele to the Police Chief Search Committee.
Do you want to do the whole?
Oh, right, you're right, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Do we need to discuss Mary and whether she's qualified?
Well, I can just summarize for the public. So the Public Waste Safety Committee, I think, had a discussion, agreed to put up Mary, who's served on that committee for a long time. We got her statement of interest. And so I think Mary Chumo is the appropriate designee. So yeah, I guess the slate would be Marie Sobolvaro as the non-voting town administrator, Chief Jeff Legendre from the fire department, Kate Bayuk from the select board, Mary Chumo from Public Waste Safety Committee, Bob Romer as a citizen member, and Matt Bossele as a citizen member.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And a roll call, Kate,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. And that's wraps our business.
So,
Okay.
that's the entire agenda.
Thank you again, really appreciate it, and I hope, Alan, I hope you'll come to some of the meetings and stay involved again, and we had 5 great people, so thank you so much. And thank you, Matt. And with that,
And thank you, Brian, for your chairmanship.
where's the champagne?
What do you think I've been drinking on?
With that, is there a motion to adjourn at 7:53?
So moved.
Second.
Second, roll call, Kate,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. All right, good night, and thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.